Hello once again, YouTubers. This is the second video in my line of Java tutorials, and today we will be discussing variables. A variable is something that I'm sure you probably remember from mathematics, where let's say x equals 7, and then whenever you wanted to use x in a calculation, you would know that it represented 7. So 3 times x would give you 21. It's the same principle in Java. The only difference is that you have different types of variables, and well, I'll show you what I mean. So let's start off with a class called variables. Then we have to have the main method as always. And now, when I said about the types, there are a couple of different types of variables. There's an integer, which in Java you would write int x and semicolon. You always have a semicolon at the end of statement just to let the system know that that's the end of the statement. Then you can also have a double, which I always when I see D, I always remember decimals, so that's how they correlate. And also you can never have the same variable, like two variable names. They can never be the exact same. So that's just a helpful hint, I suppose. Then the next one is a character, and in Java that would be a char. So let's go char A. Then there's something called a string. String is a little bit different, and it doesn't become purple like the other types. And it starts with a capital S, string. Always think of it as a string of characters. So string str. There are other different types of variables, but those are kind of out of the ordinary. You don't really use them that much, other than Boolean. And you might also remember that from mathematics, which is where the true or false statements. So let's say Boolean J. Now, what all of these does is it just says that there's an integer named x, a double named y, a character named a string named str, and a boolean named j. Then it doesn't set them into anything. So like in a problem, you would have x, assume x is 7. However, here all you would be saying is assume x. So now we have to have the equal 7 part. So in a separate statement, you're gonna have x equals 7, then y equal 8.2, a equal. Then when you're having characters, it's always just two apostrophe marks, and then apostrophes, and then you have the character in between. It can be a backslash or a space. Alright, so let's go with U. Then we'll have a string. When making a string, it's the same thing as if you're printing something out. So 2 quotation marks, and then you're gonna have this is a string. Then you're gonna have a boolean. So j equal, let's set it to true. And the two types for a boolean, it can either be true or it can be false. One of the two. Let's go with false because I already typed it. Now another way how to do this is if you just have int I equals 0. That would do the same thing as having all of these, except it would take up one less line. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and print all of these out. So system.out.print line, and let's print off. Alright, let's say variable x equals, and then you're going to go outside of the string, and then you're going to hit plus. So you're additionally to the string, you're going to have another variable. That's pretty much what you're telling the system. So plus x in the variable, and then you have to finish, and then you want to add more. So then you have the same thing, that type of documentation, I suppose. and then you go again and say and y equals, and then, but notice how I'm having a space right there, because and that's just to make it look a little bit cleaner. Then after that we're gonna have another y, and then we're gonna end it just like that. Then we have to save it. Make sure, you always want to make sure that it ends in Java and that it has the same name. Hit compile. Alright, no errors. The running man. And there you go. Variable x is equal to 7, which it is, and y is equal to 8.2. Now it's the exact same principle with all of the other characters, but we always want to make sure that, alright, so that is different than if you were to say variable x y equal, alright, x, actually here let me just put it a little bit more simple. If you were to do x plus y, all that would just add these two variables together because they're ints. However, if you were to have two like different variable types, then compile, it would just add it onto the end, like so. Alright, so I'm gonna have in the next, I'm gonna have another tutorial that I'll create, and that will be about loops. And then I guess I'll just see you next time. See ya.